Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all well. Today's video I'm going to be showing you how to do letters on a loom bracelet. So I'm going to show you the entire alphabet today, and this is just an example of the size and style of letters that I'm going to be showing you how to do. So I'm going to show you capital letters, and they're all going to have either 3 or 4 rows in each letter. Before we start, you'll need to pick your colours, and for the sake of the video I'm going to choose this horrible pair of colours that don't really go very well together at all, but they contrast really well, so you'll be able to see what I'm picking up. My advice for when you're doing letters is you do want to have a very big contrast between the letters and the colour of the background, so that from a distance like this you can see what it's supposed to say. The best kind of beads to use are a flat opaque colour like these. Nothing that's like silver lined or with any special finishes or lustres, because that's going to be too reflective and it just is too distracting, like the letters don't stand out enough. Flat opaque colours, matte even, is even better. You are going to need size 11 Delica beads for this. This is important because round seed beads are not going to stack together like this. There'll be gaps in between the beads, and so the letters won't be as easy to read. It won't have the same effect. I'm not showing you how to make a bracelet today, just how to do each letter. So you'll need to plan in advance if you're doing a bracelet like this where you want the word to be in the middle. You need to work out, measure your wrists, and find out how long your bracelet's going to be. Then half that to find out where the centre point is, and then you'll kind of have to measure how long your word is going to be, how many rows it's going to take up, so that you can plan it well enough to get your word central in your bracelet. So that's something to think about. Before you start, you're going to need to thread your loom, whatever kind of bead loom you are using. You need to thread it with 8 warp strands. So 8 strands, leaving space for 7 rows of beads. If you don't know how, I've got a video on how to use the bead loom, so I'll leave a link for that below before you get started. Okay, you also want to have your working thread already attached and ready to go, because I'm just going to jump right in and let's get started. So this is the alphabet that we're going to be making. So here's all the letters, so you can have a look at what each letter that you're going to pick looks like. Okay, so let's start. We'll start at the beginning with A. So like I said before, I'm going to link below how my video on how to use the bead loom, because I'm not going to be actually teaching you how to do this technique. I'm like literally just going to be telling you the colour pattern that you need to pick up for each row to make these letters. So if you don't know how to do this stitch on the bead loom, then I'd suggest watching that video before you try this one. Okay, so A. So for the first row, I've just added a few rows just so that it's easier to get going. For the first row, you're going to pick up 1 of your background colour, followed by 5 of your letter colour, followed by 1 of your background colour. So you have this. Oh, it's giving me McDonald's vibes. Okay, we're going to slide that down and add that row. Okay, so for the second row of the A, you're going to pick up 3 of your background colour, followed by 1 of your letter colour, 1 of your background colour, 1 of your letter colour, and 1 of your background colour. So this is your colour pattern. And the final row of the A is going to be the same as the first one. So 1 of your background colour, 5 of your letter colour, and 1 more of your background colour, and add that in the same way. Okay, so that's the first letter done. So in between each letter that you do as well, another tip is make sure you do a full row of just your background colour. So I've done that already to keep them all separate so you can clearly read the words and they're not all mingling together. So for the B, this is your first row. 1 background, 5 letter colour, 1 background. The second row of your B is like this, so alternating background, letter, background, letter, background, letter, background, like that. So the third and final row of the B is going to be 2 of your background colour, 1 of your letter colour, 1 of your background colour, 1 of your letter colour, 2 of your background colour. Moving on to the C, this is your first row, 1 background colour, 5 letter colour, 1 background colour. This is the second row of your C, 1 background, 1 letter, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background. The third and final row of the C is exactly the same as the last row. This is the first row of your D. Second row of your D is 1 background, 1 letter, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background. Third and final row of your D is this, 2 background, 3 letter, 2 background. This again is the starting row for your E. The second row for your E is just alternating between background and letter colour. Third and final row of your E is exactly the same, just alternating between the 2 colours. This is the first row of your F. Second row of your F, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background, 1 letter, 1 background. Third and final row of your F is exactly the same again. This is the first row of your G. Second row of your G is 1 background followed by 1 letter, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background. The next row of your G is going to be 1 background, 2 letter, 2 background, 1 letter, 1 background. And the final row of the G is going to be 2 background, 1 letter, 4 background. This is the first row of your H. The second row of your H, 3 background, 1 letter, 3 background. The last row of the H is the same as the first one. This is the first row of your I. The second row of your I is this. And the third and final row of your I is the same as the first one. This is the first row of your J. This is going to be the second row of your J. And this is the third and final row of your J. This is the first row of K. Second row of K, 3 background, 1 letter, 3 background. Next row of K is 2 background, 1 letter, 1 background, 1 letter, 2 background. Final row of K, 1 background, 1 letter, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background. L, this is the first row. This is going to be the second and third row of your L. So 1 background, 1 letter, 5 background. This is the first row of your M. Second row of your M is 5 background, 1 letter, 1 background. This is the next row of your M, 3 background, 2 letter, 2 background. Next row of your M is this, so 5 background, 1 letter, 1 background. And this is the final row of your M, which does unfortunately have to take up 5 rows rather than 4. This is the last row. This is row 1 of N. This is row 2 of your N. 4 background, 1 letter, 2 background. Next row of your N, 2 background, 2 letter, 3 background. And this is the final row of your N. First row of your O is 2 background, 3 letter, 2 background. Second row of your O, 1 background, 1 letter, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background. Okay, the next row is going to be exactly the same again. And the final row of your O is going to be this, same as the first row. This is your first row of your P. Second row of your P, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background, 1 letter, 1 background. Final row of your P, 3 background, 3 letter, 1 background. First row of your Q, 2 background, 3 letter, 2 background. Second row of your Q, 1 background, 1 letter, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background. Next row of your Q, 1 background, 2 letter, 2 background, 1 letter, 1 background. It's a tongue twister. So this is the next row, and it's going to be 1 background, 4 letter, 2 background. The last row of your Q, 1 background, 1 letter, 5 background. First row of your R. Second row of your R, 3 background, 1 letter, 1 background, 1 letter, 1 background. Final row of your R, 1 background, 2 letter, 1 background, 1 letter, 2 background. This is the first row of your S, 1 background, 1 letter, 1 background, 3 letter, 1 background. Second row of the S is just alternating between the 2 colours like this. Third and final row of your S, 1 background, 3 letter, 1 background, 1 letter, 1 background. This is going to be the first row of your T, so 5 background, 1 letter, 1 background. This is the second row of your T. Final row of your T, 5 background, 1 letter, 1 background. First row of your U. Second row of your U, 1 background, 1 letter, 5 background. And the final row of your U is this. First row of your V, 4 background, 2 letter, 1 background. This is the second row of your V, 2 background, 2 letter, 3 background. Next row of your V, 1 background, 1 letter, 5 background. Next row of your V, 2 background, 2 letter, 3 background. And the final row of the V is the same as the first, 4 background, 2 letter, 1 background. First row of the W is this. Second row of the W is this, 1 background, 1 letter, 5 background. Next row of the W, 2 background, 2 letter, 3 background. Next row of the W, 1 background, 1 letter, 5 background. Final row of the W is this. First row of the X, 1 background, 2 letter, 1 background, 2 letter, 1 background. Second row of the X, 3 background, 1 letter, 3 background. Last row of the X, same as the first. First row of your Y, 4 background, 2 letter, 1 background. Second row of your Y, 1 background, 3 letter, 3 background. Last row of your Y is going to be the same as the first one, 4 background, 2 letter, 1 background. Here's the first row of your Z, 1 background, 2 letter, 2 background, 1 letter, 1 background. This is row 2 of your Z, you're just alternating between the two colours, starting with your background. So here's the last row of the Z, so it's going to be 1 background, 1 letter, 2 background, 2 letter, 1 background. Okay, so that's the alphabet all finished, so here they are. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and you're able to make the letter and words that you want, and thanks so much for watching. So comment down below anything else you'd like to see, like this video, subscribe, share if you enjoyed, and you can follow me on Instagram at Beading by Hannah. Thanks for watching everyone, see you next time, bye.